I've got a couple questions that came in this week. If you have any questions, make sure you hit us up. You can do it right here through Facebook or Instagram. We're going to spend the time to answer the questions. We'll do it in this format every so often. We get a good series of questions. So we got a series that came in today. And one of the ones that I got was, hey, Doc, when I go out and play, whatever sport I'm playing, you know, I'm competing and going forward in what I need. How do I not second guess the decisions I make? How do I not know that a better decision may have been the better choice that set me up to play better in whatever sport I'm in? Well, second guessing is a natural act. And you have to give yourself the freedom to accurately reflect on your game, on your performance. And sometimes it happens during the heat of the battle, and other times it happens much later. Unfortunately, I don't want you to spend a whole lot of time doing it in the heat of competition. Now, we know that hindsight is an extremely powerful tool that makes you feel like a total idiot when you don't think you made the right decision. I'm reading a book right now called Thinking in Bets by Annie Duke, former World Series of Poker champ. She was about to finish her doctorate in cognitive psychology. And she uses a concept called resulting. She said, a lot of people do it in the poker world when they make a decision they feel is right, and the results don't validate successfully that decision. And it makes people question whether or not the decision was right. That's a problem, because the result is forcing you to evaluate your decision making, because the result, you're making the assumption that the result is always 100% in your control. How do we know it's 100% in your control? Well, if you're in the performance world, I would say it's less than 30% in your control. So the result can't dictate your decision making. But what it can do is ask you to evaluate your process, your hierarchy of how you made your decision. So with the result, good or bad, you should have the same process to evaluate decisions every time. Did I do it? Did I go into it with the full intention of what I wanted? Yes. Did I evaluate every scenario? Yes. And did I commit to my decision? Intention, evaluation, commitment. Very simple. The result is never within that. I would rather you make 100% intention-based decisions, evaluating the options, and fully committing to the outcome, and suck every single time, than making limp dish rag decisions that you didn't stand for a decision that you made. Okay? So let's make those choices better. Second guessing your decisions is just doubt infiltrating your cognitions and your thinking process. So let's be better than that. What about mastering the fundamentals? I hear this a lot. So I got an email from a player who's like, I see all this data and all these people talking about, I need to play more. I need to be out shooting more. He's a basketball player. I need to be out doing the little things better. And the only way I can do it is playing. But that comes with an assumption, right? And that assumption is that your basic fundamentals are simply at a point of good enough to go compete. If I take people who've never shot basketball before and put them out in a game, how do you think they're going to play? They're going to suck. You have to have a certain level of proficiency of fundamentals. When I'm out on the PGA Tour, I hear people say all the time, play more, just play more, get off the range. And there's a lot of truth to that. But the guys and the girls that are on the professional tours, their fundamentals naturally are better than yours. Now, they may not be better than yours in every part of your game, but they're better fundamentally than you. Well, you've got to have time, and in my periodization of practice, I call it foundations. Your foundations must be better than everybody else's. And the way that we define our foundations are the things that help us build up our consistency of successes. They're the 2 or 3 things that are our key components of our success. And they're mechanically based. They're technician. So for instance, if you're a shooter in basketball, if you watch any training video of Steph Curry, the best shooter in basketball, he has a very detailed training process that he is incorporating and training his fundamentals on a daily basis, his foundations. But then he also brings in performance practice where he creates more chaos in what he does. But without the fundamentals, he couldn't go to chaos. I hate it when people knock on blocked practice. No, you shouldn't do block practice. Give me a break. That's awful. You shouldn't do it. It's too much block practice in today's game. If I can't hit a hammer on a nail, how am I expected to be a master craftsman of my job? You watch a master carpenter, they'll hit that nail one time and they'll sink it because they're so good at the fundamentals of hitting it. Just like we spend so, all right. I was walking the fairway at the PGA Championship a couple years ago with Brian Harman, one of my clients. And if you haven't listened to my podcast with him and Patton Kazire or the one I did with just Brian alone, you should listen to it. Brian's a two-time winner on the PGA Tour, been as ranked as high as 24th in the world. Brilliant player, unbelievable competitor, right? So we're walking the fairway, and Daniel Berger's in our group. And the PGA professional in our group who qualified for the PGA Championship is a college coach. And he said, hey, guys, what would you recommend to me to tell my players that who want to be in the position you're in? And Daniel Berger stopped him and he said, look, I play with mini tour players and I play with young aspiring professionals all the time. And, man, they look great on the range. And they look great when it's great. But their errors in their fundamentals are too wide. They struggle to get the ball off the tee consistently in play. There's too many times during a round of golf where I'm having to search balls out of trees. Brian Harman said I'd have him practice inside 5-foot putting and the easy chip shots. Well, it's kind of like when I'm coaching pitchers, right? And the dad sits in and says, my kid's got, he's plus fastball, but he can't throw a first pitch fastball for a strike. He can't throw a breaking ball for a strike. He may have a nasty strikeout slider, but he's 2-0 on every hitter. An infielder can't field a ground ball without exposing the open gap. A basketball player can't get into the basic defensive positions. I was talking to one of my Division I basketball coaches, and I said, why doesn't this player play? He's got a beautiful shot. He's fast. He can't get his butt settled on defense, and he gets beaten as the game goes on. That is basketball 101 that I can't trust in the heat of the moment. This kid has spent way too much time working on his finishing moves and has ignored the fundamentals of the game. See, we have to know our fundamentals, and we have to maximize them every single day. Okay? Don't ignore 30% of your practice. 30% of your practice should be on maximizing the fundamentals every single day. All right, third question I got. How do you temper goals? How many players come in and tell us as coaches or as parents, I want to play professionally? Is it our job to pee in their cereal? Is it our job to tell them they're not good enough? Is it? See, I don't think so. But it is our job to tell them what we think it demands of them to be successful. It is our job to tell them what we believe the sacrifices are going to take. But if we've never actually been there, how can we deter somebody else? So what I always tell somebody who tells me they want to play professionally, or they want to play college baseball, or they want to be recruited for Division I football, is, do you know the odds? Yeah, the odds are really small. So are you willing to do the uncommon things in order to get there with no guarantee that you're going to succeed? Because if you're not, I can guarantee that it's not going to happen. But if you're willing to do those things and you're willing to think outside the box, see, the reason that many people actually give up is that when it gets hard, it doesn't go according to the plan that they envisioned. And because it doesn't go according to the plan and envisioned, they're not willing to think outside the box. Like when a kid tells me they want to play college sports, I ask them where. And if they only list the SEC schools, I know that they don't really want to play college sports as bad as they say they do. They only want to play college sports on their terms. I mean, do you want to play for University of North Dakota at the border? Like if you really want to play that bad, you'll go there. But if you only want to play on your terms, that's fine. Just be honest with yourself. Like I've had players tell me in professional golf, I don't want to go to Latin America. So the answer is you're only going to do Monday qualifiers and play mini tours around your course? Like, I didn't want to go play independent baseball. After I was done and after I was washed up and my velocity was down and I wasn't going to be drafted, I got offered a chance to go play at an independent team. And while their sales pitch was, we're one of the best independent teams there is, the reality of the fact was, I didn't want to make that sacrifice. Because at that time, I was already preparing to go to grad school. So to me, I had to evaluate, do I want to, if I was drafted in the first round, hell yeah, I would have played Major League Baseball. But I wasn't drafted in the first round. I had to evaluate whether my goals were realistic and if the sacrifices I was going to make was worth it. Okay? So you can be honest. Don't pee in their cereal because somebody may have pissed in your cereal too, and yet you're succeeding where you are. Like, I know when I started the Mindset, I had a number of people who told me, yo, dude, you can't succeed by yourself. And I believed in it. I believed that there was no way I was going to have a facility like this with a team like this and continuing to build. Look, I'm going to tell you right now, the Mindset's you're going to see some stuff over the next year or two if I can execute this. And I can actually do what I say I'm going to do, which is a big if, but I believe I can. Because I want to make the game more accessible to people. Mental coaching. People are like, you can't do this on your own. People don't do this. Most people who do this have a clinical practice and do this on the side. I'm like, yeah, not doing that. Like, I'm going all in on this. And it's funny. The number of people who now call me who are the ones that were peeing in my cereal to ask how I did it, it's funny how that works, isn't it? See, I had a vision. But I got the facts together, and I blindly ran through the door and swung as hard as I could to figure it out. I didn't need somebody to pee in my cereal. I just need somebody to give me the motivation and doubt me. That's all I needed. All right. Okay, so as a coach, what do you do when you've got somebody who continues to make mistakes in front of you? Well, if you're coaching technically, the first thing I'd say, if you keep seeing the mistakes, is can they actually do what you're asking them to do? Everybody's built differently, and everybody has different backgrounds. And I can make you proficient. I can make you tap your nose at the perfect angle every single time, okay? But if your nose is bigger than mine, you're going to have a different attack angle than me. Why don't we embrace the person in front of us? See, I think that's one of the reasons why I've had success with the players I have and the teams I've had, is I get players and coaches to embrace their psychological fingerprint, the uniqueness of them. And it doesn't matter what sport you're playing. But the mistakes that people make many times is because they're trying to do something they think is right that doesn't match them. It's going back to, how do you eat a cheeseburger? Do you want barbecue sauce in the meat? Do you want it with avocado and mushrooms? Do you want it with Swiss cheese? Do you want it with bacon and cheese? Build your own damn burger. And as a coach, embrace them. Work with them. Don't tell. Engage. See, when coaches are telling all the time, they're coaching all the time, they've taken the idea that coaching is telling. Coaching isn't telling. Coaching is engagement and discovery. Okay, I want you to understand this. I'm going to repeat this. Coaching is not about telling what you know. It's about engaging and guiding the discovery of your athlete's mastery. I'm going to repeat this one more time because it's that important. Coaching is not, and mentoring is not about telling what is right and wrong. It's about taking your client on a journey to engage them in the process, to shine a light so they can self-discover their mastery. So when we see mistakes, they are not reflections of you as a coach, and they are not reflections of the player, the athlete. They are learning opportunities. Now, I don't want you to embrace failure. I don't want you to be like, yes, I failed today. But what I'd rather you do is go, okay, that failure sucked. That hurt, and I'm upset. But that failure is a valuable lesson. You earn that failure, so use it. You earned that failure, so use it. Okay? Last question. And you ready for a pet peeve? Okay? This is a pet peeve of mine when it comes to coaching. We posted something up recently about our parents ruining sports today. Parents are making it harder. But parents are more efficient and more resilient than ever. And as a result, so are their players. Parents are able to overcome challenges at an elite rate. And if coaches aren't better at dealing with that, they're going to get played. You got to remember, for most of our parents, they love their kids so much that they want to make sure that they have every option available to them. And for the most part, they want to have every option available to them that they personally did not have as a player themselves. And because they've had success in their life, they've learned how to have success by overcoming the challenges in their life. You're just a challenge. If you're a coach and you are not embracing your parents and you are not guiding your parents on their process, you are the reason why your parents are the problem, not your parents. Your parents are like Lenny of Mice and Men. They love their kids so much they're gonna squeeze them to death. They don't know what they don't know. They think they know what they know. Your job as a parent. There's a story. So Coach Skip Bertman used to have a meeting with us at the beginning of every year. Don't have your parents call me and ask about playing time. If you're not playing, it's your responsibility to tell them why you're failing. Simple point. And if you don't have the guts to have that conversation, I will have it, and it won't be in the way you want me to. So he put up this big kind of tough demeanor about dealing with parents. So my freshman year while I'm redshirting, I go home to my parents' house because I had a doctor's appointment the next morning. And I'm sitting in there, we're talking, and all of a sudden the phone rings, and my dad goes in his office, and he comes out and he goes, "Oh, that was Coach Bertman. He was just calling to give me an update." So while Coach Bertman put up this no parent interaction, he actually got ahead of it. See, Coach Bertman called the parents proactively. He got ahead of it. He educated them. My experience why parents are ruining sports is they don't have any engagement from the coaches. I work with too many high school coaches that put up a wall, and you bring up parents and you get this visceral reaction like, "Oh my God, my parents. Oh my God, I'd get out of it if I could." Then you're not good at handling parents. See, you need to make parents part of your program. Give them jobs to do, educate them. How many coaches send out a weekly email, blind CC to all the parents, giving them an update of your progress? What are the expectations of practice? What are the goals this week? And what's a review of last week? Why wouldn't you take 15 minutes and send an email to keep people engaged? Oh, because you're afraid of the replies. Oh, because it takes too much work. Huh. Well, if you like coaching in misery, then keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to coach better and have a much more engaged, every coach I'm around that has great parents keeps the parents a part of the program. They get ahead of them. They play chess with their parents. And I don't mean in a bad way. They're one step ahead at every given moment. You've got to be that way too. And if not, then it's a problem. You're going to get burned. It's kind of like coaches with athletic directors. You've got to be meeting proactively with the athletic director. You got to be meeting with your players. If you're waiting for your players, if you're waiting for your athletic director to come down the hall and have a sit-down meeting with you, you failed them. Okay? So parents need to be involved in the athletes. They just want to help. They just want to help. If you've got questions you want me to answer, and hopefully this is helpful, make sure you send us a message. You can do it through Facebook or Instagram. Send us a direct message. We'll answer it. And I hope you guys all have a powerful and wonderful 4th. You enjoy it. You remember why we're here and the values that we're here. And, tell your mom and dad you love them one time. Tell your kids you love them. Just be intentful. Be present with them. Just say, "Hey, I probably don't tell you very often. Proud of what you've done. Love you." All right, guys. I'll see y'all next week.